Hey, Ashley.
What?
Hit the arrow sound for Monday Morning Fallout. Monday Morning Fallout, of course, when we overreact to the football weekend. And, yeah. We'll have some stuff. We've got some stuff to talk about. We'll start with my 3 big thoughts. Thought number 1 is champion's disadvantage. So, we lost 3 defending state champs this week. 1, I don't think is a surprise. At least we saw the writing on the wall that if you want to make an argument that Mason maybe bowed out a week early than we thought, they lost to Holland in the regional semifinals. But I think it was pretty clear that they were probably not getting out of Region 4. Right. They end up losing to Holland in the game that everyone's talking about from that region, and nobody else is talking about anything else.
No other game.
We should probably. It's not mentioned on my rundown, so we should probably mention the Shiner Refugio game.
Yeah, that happened,
which was insanity.
Dear God,
Shiner had that game won about 9 different times, and Refugio finds a way to come back and win it. 45-42 in one of the wildest games you'll ever see. That was a game I was streaming.
Yeah,
I was streaming the game on Texan Live. I was watching it, and there was like 3 or 4 times because my wife was when she follows high school football, she follows it basically only if she knows the town.
Right.
And so, for reasons that I'm sure you can imagine, she really likes Shiner. And so it was like, so we were watching that game, and it was like something would happen, be like, oh, okay, well, Shiner's got it now.
Yeah.
And then that happened like 5 times.
Where it's like, oh,
and they never won.
I was about to say, and it's like, oh, now's the time. Right?
That was crazy, ridiculous. But anyway, we lose Mason. We'll have a new 2A Division I champion. Again, another maybe a little bit more surprising, I think, would be Newton losing to Dangerfield.
Yeah, we thought it would happen around early.
Yeah, maybe
later.
Around later.
Yeah.
Another time where we thought, okay, Newton is a really good team, but maybe not up to that standard that they have been the past couple of years. They look vulnerable, at least more vulnerable. But Dangerfield plays a fantastic game. They rally. I think they score 16 in the 4th quarter and win over Dangerfield. So for the first time since 2016, we will have a new 3A Division II state champion. And then there was 5A Division I.
The banger of all bangers.
And it was the game we had circled. Ashley, you were there.
I was.
For Frisco Lone Star in Highland Park, Volume 2. And
it was awesome.
And it lived up to the hype. And you saw, what I appreciated about that game was that you saw the coaching tweaks that teams made. Specifically, that Randy Allen from Highland Park came in hell-bent on making sure that Marvin Mims did not beat them. That because Marvin Mims torched them the first time they met, and he was going to make sure that he did not beat them single-handedly this time around. Now he ended up scoring the touchdown that eventually would force overtime.
Right.
But for the most part, they shut down Marvin Mims. He was relatively quiet in this game.
Double covered him the entire time.
Instead, the other guys stepped up for Frisco Lone Star, and in overtime they pull out a 33-27 walk-off win over Highland Park. And so for the first time since 2015, we will have a new 5A Division I state champion. I'm thinking about this now. The last non-Highland Park 5A Division I state champion was George Ranch.
Oh, the Darius Anderson year. Wow. Okay.
I mean, it's the look. They slayed the giant.
Yeah.
And they did something. I think we are going to look back in history on what Lone Star did to beat Highland Park twice. Once at home, and the other in what is essentially their adopted home.
Right.
That I don't think any team has played in AT&T Stadium besides the Cowboys more than Highland Park.
Right.
Well, and that's the crazy thing, too, is we're all thinking, okay, they've done so well this game, they've got the chance, they score the touchdown, but then it gets to overtime, and you're thinking, can they do it in over? I mean, if you're gonna beat them, you need to beat them in 48 minutes because you don't want to take them to overtime, and then there they went,
you're
and
exactly
it was awesome.
Right. Well, in Highland Park, Highland Park misses a field goal in their possession of overtime. That ended up not mattering.
Right.
Because Lone Star scored the touchdown. to win the game. But it is remarkable, and suddenly we are down to 7 defending state champs remaining. Thought number 2, Bloody Sunday. It always happens. This happens. Yeah. It's Black Monday in the NFL,
Black Sunday,
and it's Black Sunday in college football, because we had a lot of coaching movement. North Texas has fired. If you missed this, North Texas has fired both of their coordinators, including Bodie Reeder, which I think would represent one of the more disappointing tenures, because we had really high hopes for Bodie Reeder. They've fired both their coordinators. Tom Herman at Texas has fired. He fired Orlando.
He reassigned Tim Beck.
Reassigned Tim Beck, and there's apparently a lot more movement going on at the Texas staff.
Yeah, apparently the speculation is that the new coordinator will obviously want to bring in his guys, so like all their position coaches might be gone, or some of them might be gone. I know Brian Carrington, I think, is the only staff member on the road right now for recruiting. So
they're already losing some recruits. Yeah. So Texas is going through flux. But then the big news comes out of San Antonio, where Frank Wilson is out after 4 seasons with the Roadrunners. And personally, I'm sad about this, because I like Frank Wilson. He was from a media perspective, he was always very good to us. He was always very generous with his time, blah blah blah. But more importantly, I thought that he was a good fit for UTSA. I thought when they hired him, I thought it was a relatively inspired hire. One thing that I feel like is not fair to Frank Wilson is he got hired from LSU. He was an assistant on the LSU staff under Les Miles, and he pretty immediately got tagged as recruiting guy. Right.
Which, take that what you will.
Recruiting guy. And it's he's the head coach, right? And I wonder if there was always a level of distance that people held him at arm's length, because he's he's just a recruiting guy. I don't think that's he's a recruiter. I don't think that's fair. And I think that he got a little bit of a bad shake. Now, that said, this is a results-oriented business. Yeah. And UTSA did not win enough. They did not show signs of improvement enough.
Well, and I think that was something that really kind of bit him in the butt, too, is the fact that his first year there, they became bowl eligible for the first time in program history. Right. So you start off so well, and then you watch that decline, and it makes it even tougher.
In many ways, it is kind of similar to what happened with Kevin Sumlin. That Kevin Sumlin at A&M became a victim of his own expectations. Same thing happened for Frank Wilson. That he took him to a bowl game the first year, and it's here they come. Here comes that sleeping giant we've been talking about at UTSA, and it just never materialized. That is certainly on him, and I want to make sure we're giving him we're assigning the responsibility. I understand why UTSA fired Frank Wilson, but there's a variety of different circumstances around this that make it where I don't feel. I'm sad about it. I think that's just fair to say.
And two more head coaching hires that might have repercussions in Texas. Obviously, Arkansas opened up a while back that could potentially, wherever that staff goes or wherever that head coaching search goes. But Ole Miss. Ole Miss is an interesting Power 5 job that would not hate going into Texas for maybe a Sonny Dykes or something of that nature. So 2 head coaching hires to watch out that could have repercussions in this state.
And I'll just say it. I think Matt Rule's phone. Matt Rule is going to have to tell people no.
Right.
Okay.
And I think right now he's put Baylor in position where he feels comfortable saying that, unless it's a Penn State or an NFL job.
Did y'all see that some Ole Miss people started a GoFundMe to raise $1 billion to get Nick Saban to go to Ole Miss? There's a legit GoFundMe for it.
Nick Saban, Rice has won their last 3 games. When's the last time Alabama won a game? Just saying.
Hey, just saying. Not wrong.
Mike Bloomgren greater than Nick Saban? I'm just asking questions.
This is why it's called overreacting to all the moves.
And thought number 3, we meet again. There are 15 rematches in the regional finals.
That's a lot.
15! That is, I was on the air with Craig Way this morning on his radio program, and he speculates that is a record. He thinks, he said, I would need to do some record, but 15 is a ton.
Yeah, we were talking about in the Slack, what would you, the games you would kind of pick to swing the other way, and it's man.
I don't know.
Well, there's a couple. There's a couple.
So here you go. Here are the rematches.
I think I took Holiday. If I had to pick one, I think I took Holiday over Gunner.
I like that pick.
Denton Ryan and Colleyville Heritage is a rematch.
Yeah.
Wichita Falls Rider and Lubbock Cooper. Fort Bend, Marshall, and Manville. That's another one I could see flipping. La Vega and Argyle, another one you could see flipping.
Mm-hmm.
That's easy. Lampasas and Liberty Hill, Pleasant Grove and Gilmer, West Orange, Stark and Silsbee, Geronimo Navarro and Wimberley, Brock and Pilot Point, another one I could see flipping.
Mm-hmm.
Columbus and Hallettsville, another one I could see flipping. Gunner and Holiday, you mentioned it. Paul Pute and Dangerfield, that was a 4-point game the first time around, and those two teams hate each other.
Mm-hmm.
East Bernard and Ganado, Groveton and St. Augustine, and Blum and Jonesboro, all rematches there. And by the way, that Blum-Jonesboro game is a state semifinal. So, big doings. We got all your coverage at TexasFootball.com/playoffs. 3 helmet stickers. A helmet sticker for Lancaster running back Trey Bradford. Carried the ball 22 times for 159 yards and 3 touchdowns on the ground in Lancaster's win over Frisco Independence. And it strikes me that Frisco Independence is very similar in some regards to McKinney North, which is the team Lancaster beat the week before.
Mm-hmm.
High-powered team, get some stops, run the ball out. Now Lancaster gets to date with Frisco Lone Star, and if just because Lone Star beat Highland Park, you're penciling them into a title game, be careful. Be careful. A helmet sticker to the Texas A&M Commerce defense. The Lions continue to roll. They beat Colorado School of Mines, and they are through to, is it the quarterfinals? I think it is.
Yes.
I think so.
That sounds right.
I'm pretty sure.
Of Division II. Getting hot at the right time. David Bailiff's old squad. And a helmet sticker to Amarillo Tascosa quarterback Joseph Plunk, who carried the ball 34 times for 257 yards and 6 touchdowns. They have had, in their last 2 weeks, Step tweeted this, I think they have attempted 0 passes.
That's crazy.
It is not fun to go up against the flex bone. It's just not. And Joseph Plunk is doing that thing.
Should I
again.
change it from QB to running back?
Well, I mean, but I guess that's
it was
true.
Just a joke.
Technically, he's more. I would say he's more. If you want to change it to spread back, he's probably a little bit more of a spread back.
Okay, thanks.
That's a 6-man joke. 3 teams to watch. Ganado. There's not a ton of upsets in the regional semifinals, but Ganado over Poth certainly qualifies. Mary Hardin Baylor keeps on chugging along, doing that thing again. They are through to the semifinals of Division III. And Manor.
Looky there for Ish. We were so happy for you.
Oh my gosh, that game was so much fun.
They beat Cedar Park 17-14 on a last-second field goal. They were down 14-0. Is that right? Or 7-0?
No, it was. I think it was within a touchdown for most of the game. But it was that old like Cedar Park lead where they're up 7. And it's like, no one's scoring.
It feels like 100.
Yeah. And then they just ran the Jordan Whittington Quero offense, where it's just like, hey, we're just going to give it to Taj Brooks the entire second half.
Well, we make the entire play out of Taj Brooks, man.
So
Manor is through to a regional final where they get Alvin Shadow Creek.
Yeah, we won't talk about that.
Okay. 3 to see. Lake Travis and Converse Judson, Volume 10,000. Again, they'll meet in a regional final. Lake Travis has had Converse Judson's number. This is a really good Judson team. Can they get over the hump against this Lake Travis squad? We await to hear the word about Hudson Card. This is around the time when he was saying he was going to be ready. We are going to find out later this week if he will be ready. That would obviously be a bit of a game changer if he could play in this game.
So, Aaron Flynn asked that. Do you know how many years in a row that's been for those two?
This is the
I would need to look
third?
at it. It's at least the third.
Yeah.
I need to look it up, though, because it's been a lot. They see each other a lot.
Yeah.
Baylor and Oklahoma in the Big 12 title game, 11 a.m. And suddenly, potentially, for a spot in the playoff with Alabama's loss. Now, they're probably rooting for Oregon to beat Utah.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And if they need to, for Baylor, I'll say this, they would be well served to run up the score on Oklahoma if they're going to win.
Maybe, but you don't want to. You don't want Oklahoma to drop.
That's true.
I think you're looking for a close win.
I'm really worried Baylor's going to win and they're going to get left out of the playoff.
I mean, probably. They'd look for an excuse for like a.
You've got to remember, guys.
I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
You got to remember that the playoff is not designed to put the 4 best teams together, guys. The playoff is designed to put the 4 most desirable teams of that caliber in there. And the bottom line is that Baylor is a small private school from the Big 12. And they're going to do whatever they can to keep him out. That's not a conspiracy theory. That's just kind of reading the tea leaves and understanding what the situation is, right? Go back to the TCU Baylor thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Strawn and Richland Springs. This game finally got set. It's going 7 o'clock at Shotwell Stadium in Abilene on Friday. And you want to talk about the old dynasty. Richland Springs very quietly going for their record 9th state championship. Going up against the new dynasty, the 2-time defending state champions in Strawn. Figures to be a fun one. That is Monday Morning Fallout.